Hi guys, and welcome back to my podcast. My name is Leonie. Today we're gonna Leonie Sian, but it is what it is. Today we're gonna be talking about the independent woman. Okay. This topic. Woo! I mean, I've been excited to talk about this one, people. Okay, because the word independence is kind of what I want to start with, because I feel like the independent woman, or how people view the independent woman, especially like men, I feel like is not what it actually is. And I feel like a lot of people, particularly, I want to say insecure men, are very threatened by the independent woman. And I just wanted to talk about that and just try to find out reasons as to why. Okay, but I just want to start off by saying, let's look at the word independence. So to me, I feel like independence just means to be free. Like, you're free to be able to be an individual, do whatever you want, however you want, without any restrictions or any orders from anyone. Okay. Because to be independent, I mean, the opposite of independence is codependent. So to me, it just means that you're not needy. You just don't need resources from anyone. You're able to do things on your own. Okay. And I personally feel like that is a common, not common. I feel like it's a basic human trait that everybody should have, is a form of independence. But when it's assigned to a woman, people, especially if it's a black woman, it's like, oh, you know what? I'm an independent, strong black woman. I don't need no man. But if it's just the average woman, it's like, oh, she's an independent woman. She doesn't need no man or whatnot. And it's like, I don't understand why being an independent woman equates to like not needing a man. It just means that we are not needy. And it makes me feel like, well, that means that people view women as someone who is supposed to be needy and codependent and like a damsel in distress energy. And then I just kind of think to myself, well, how insecure do you have to be as a person or as a man or as an individual to need a woman that has low self-esteem, that depends on you for everything? I mean, that's a child. You know what I mean? And sometimes I, look at this culture, because I do feel like this culture is kind of like, if it's not overtly sexualized, it's kind of pedophilic. Because it's like, it's either adults act like children or adults want partners to behave like children. And to me, that's a bit sickening, because it's just like, why does somebody like, well, let's just, because I can see where this is going. Let me just calm down. In the UK, we refer to the adult children in the house as non-dependent. So, once you turn 18, you're seen as an adult, right? So, like the housing, the government basically, like if you're on a transfer list, for example, like how I moved out of my house, my housing association, my mom's housing association, basically wrote a letter and said, the non-dependent in your house is able to move out. Like, so rather than us giving you a house, because there's not many houses around, yeah, okay, we can just move the non-dependent out of the house, meaning me, because I'm at the age where I no longer depend on my mom, because I'm not a child. Okay, not an independent, but it's a non-dependent. So I do not depend, as in I can get up, go to work, make my own money. I'm able to live in my own place. I don't need somebody else to provide, cook for me, clean for me, and look after me. So it's like, she's old enough so she can get out the house. So if you want that, then here's a house to give her. So it's like that. So to me, that's how I see people over a certain age, over 18s. We're non-dependents. So I don't understand why when you assign the word independent to a woman, it equates to like, well, I don't need you and I don't need this and I don't need that. It just means that we are able to do things for ourselves without the support, resources, or instructions of another individual. And I feel like in this day and age, people see relationships or women as like objects, and relationships as agreements. You know what I mean? It's like, we're together. I choose you. You do everything I say. I go and do this. And, you just live underneath me. If you want me to, if you want, I don't know, clothes, food, anything, I'll provide all that for you. Now, I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that, but I'm saying that I feel like people are offended if you don't want to beg them for their resources. You know, I don't understand why men's egos get threatened when you are able to do what you want to do without needing their support. Now, needing and wanting is two different things. Like, I myself would describe myself as an independent woman, but it doesn't mean that I don't want a partner or I don't want to be in a relationship. It just means that, like, if I want to do something, I'm not going to, like, sit down and fucking stress and think, oh my God, I'm going to wait for Bob to come and do it. And Bob, oh my God, I don't have the time to do that shit. I'm just going to try to figure it out. If I can't figure it out, then I'll call Bob. You know what I mean? But it's like, one thing I've noticed, especially like in connections with, like, in relation to like guys, they always want you to be really needy. And if you're not, they say that like you're emasculating them, or they see independent women as like masculine females. And it's just like, well, why? Because I can fucking wipe my own ass and make my own food, or because I'm not a servant to you? Because it's like, if we're doing all the things and how can I say, like, providing for their needs, it's fine. But if we're providing for our own needs, then it's a problem, and we're emasculating them. Like, you know what I mean? I don't understand that. It's like, you know, women can make their own money, men get offended by that. But in this day and age, a lot of men don't actually want to provide for you. Like, do you know what I mean? And I don't know how it is in other countries, but in the UK, for example, like, look, if you're a single parent or not, it doesn't matter. If you reach a certain age, the government will enforce you into work. They want you to be doing something. So a lot of the times when people are always independent women, it's like, I'm independent because I have to be. I have to go and make money and shit, because if I don't, the government's going to fucking lock me up and take me to prison. Like, do you know what I mean? I have to be doing some shit. I'm not trying to be independent to emasculate men. I'm independent because if I have my own house, I need to fucking, I need money to be able to buy things. I need to buy a fridge and a cooker and fucking pay for my gas and my electric and have food on the table and, you know, have fucking internet and shit. I can't sit around waiting for a man to do that, because what if that man never comes? Do you know what I mean? I know in some cultures, like, the women don't leave the house until they get married. And again, I don't really agree with that, but, you know, that's just how it is. And that's why a lot of the times in certain cultures or in certain situations, when you do get into a marriage, a lot of the people are miserable. Do you know what I mean? But they can't do anything. Imagine your man is like beating you up and shit and cheating on you, but you're married to him. You've got no formal education. You've got no work experience, nothing. You've got no money. You've got no stability. And now you're stuck with someone who's treating you badly and you can't escape. And that's what happens a lot of the times. People will get married and then the person will change and treat you like a slave. And then you can't leave because you don't have rights, because in the eyes of the law, you are one. And if that man says, oh, well, I provide for her and such, and I want her to be at home and have kids. And it's like, you can do that if you want to, but if something happens with the relationship, then what? Or sometimes you can get divorced and the woman takes all the money, and then men start to resent women. Because it's like, well, you didn't hold up your end of the bargain because you got divorced for a fucking reason. So do you know what I mean? It's just like, that's why I say, like, independence to me is so important. Like, if I ever had daughters, I would be teaching them independence. You know what I mean? And if I had sons, you know, I'd be teaching them, make sure you have your own place and shit. Like, these men out here as well, like men who like sponge off of women, and they like always staying at somebody else's house. Like, they don't have their own foundation. They don't have their own home, but then they want to be in a partner with someone, like a partnership. How are you going to want a woman, but you don't have your own place to stay? So where are you going to get your place to stay? An independent woman, because an independent woman is someone who has their own shit, right? But then you want to stay in an independent woman's house and then get threatened by her independence. Or are you just insecure because a woman is doing 10 times the shit that you couldn't do as an independent man? You know what I mean? I just don't understand it. Like, I don't understand why people are so threatened by independence, like independent women. Like, it's like, why do you need to feel needed? Like, why do you need to feel like a damsel, like you need to have a damsel in distress? Like, that's not healthy. That's like a toxic connection when someone wants you to need them. It's like, oh my God, I can't live without you. I can't get this done. Oh my God. Because what will happen is, if you're in a destructive situation at home, like say for example, you don't know how to screw in a light bulb, right? and your man's not in, and half the light bulbs in the house, something happens and all of them bust, they're not working, and your man's at work for the whole day, and you're sitting in the house in the dark because you don't know how to screw in a light bulb, and you have to wait for your man to come home and do it. Do you know how ridiculous that is? And you're calling out, oh babe, you know what, the light bulb's gone on, and it's like, oh yeah, no, don't do anything, just wait until I come, because your man doesn't want you to be independent. He wants you to need him to come to the rescue. And that's how a lot of the times, men try to control women, because they know you're going to keep asking them, and you get frustrated, and then, you know what I mean? And I feel like, in my experience, I've noticed that a lot of guys want women to be at some like low, feeble kind of energy where they kind of lack self-esteem and shit. And it's like, why? Who is attracted to someone who has low self-esteem and who doesn't know how to do things, or doesn't have common knowledge to say, do you know what? Let me get a chair and try to screw that light bulb in by myself. Because why do I need, it's not about needing a man or a woman or anyone. It's just about being able to fix a problem without being in distress, knowing that there's no one else around to help you, or relying on one person to fix that problem. I'm not saying that you can't say, oh babe, can you put this up? Can you I'm not saying that. Of course, if you want your partner to do everything, that's absolutely fine. But I'm saying the whole needy energy to me is what I don't get. And I feel like men like that. The other day I was talking to a guy, right? Do you know what he said to me? First he said to me like, oh, you're more independent than I was expecting you to be. And I was just like, what do you mean by that? And I was like, well, did you think I was going to be naive and easy to manipulate? I'm a bit confused. And he couldn't answer me, right? And then like another time he said to me, he was like, oh, because I was talking to him about like my goals and my aspirations and the things that I need to do. And I was saying, I don't feel like, a relationship and stuff for me right now is really a thing, because I got shit to do. And every time I'm in a relationship, I'm either taken away from what I need to do, or I'm disrespected. So I just, you know what I mean? Or people are threatened by my unneediness. So, and I'm like a hopeless romantic. Like, I'm very, very lovey-dovey, but I'm tired of getting taken advantage of. So I just said to myself, do you know what? I can just be free, happy, and single, because every time I'm with someone, I'm like miserable and disrespected. So what's the point? So I'm saying this to him, right? So then he says to me, so I don't know if I said it to him at that time, but I was over the time I was talking to him about different things. So anyway, at this particular time, he said to me, he was like, oh, soon you'll see that there's no other way. And I was like, I'm sorry, what? I was like, excuse me? Like, what the fuck is he talking about? So I was like, no other way for what? He said to me, there's no one else. Like, you have to be with me. And then I looked at him and I was like, oh my God, I fucking attracted once again another sociopath. I just thought, who fucking says that shit? Who sits down and says, like, soon you'll realize there's no other way. It's only me. I'm like, is this guy trying to fucking like bond me to him or something? And I was like, okay, see, this is why I can't talk to people, because like when you're trying to get to know people and shit, they be coming up with that type of possessive, controlling shit. And that's another thing. I feel like the reason why men don't like independent women is because they can't control you. But why do women need to be controlled? To me, that's an insecurity thing. Because it's either you see women as whores that don't know how to control themselves, or you see everyone as predators, which means that you yourself must be a predator. Am I saying that? I can't pronounce that word properly. You prey on women. Like, do you know what I mean? So if you prey on women, you probably see everybody else as somebody who preys on women. So you're afraid that your woman is going to be preyed on. But if you're dealing with someone who's like independent, then they should be strong enough to be able to reject people. If you're dealing with a codependent person, to me, that's more worrying, because if I can't get what I need from you and I'm codependent, then that means I'm going to try to search it for someone else. So to me, codependent people are more worrying than independent people, because independent people are happy to do shit on their own. Do you know what I mean? They're not going to be seeking validation or attention from anyone else. So the whole control thing I find quite sadistic, because it's like, if you want to be with someone who's needy and, codependent on your energy, then that means, in my eyes, you find pleasure in seeing someone in distress. Because a lot of the times, guys will, have you ever like spoken to someone And like, this could be like even like teenage boys and shit. You've spoken to somebody and they're like, you know what, I've been asking him to do this for fucking 5 days, or he was said he was going to put that up last year and he still hasn't done it. And then they'll be like, oh, you know, you're just nagging, you're just doing this, meh. But to me, that's very sadistic, because it's like you are getting some kind of pleasure and enjoyment in seeing somebody so distressed that they have to keep begging you to do something that you know you have no intention of doing anytime soon. But then if the woman goes out and gets another guy to do it, that's a problem. You could pay someone. You say, babe, I've been asking you to put up this shelf for about 2 months now. So, and I can't do it because you won't allow me to be an independent person. So I've asked this young man to come and do it for me, and I've paid him. I don't want no one else in the house. And the guy gets all jealous. Okay. Well, I can't do it. You won't do it. So who's gonna do it? Do you know what I mean? So I feel like people genuinely like to be in situations where they're like miserable. I feel like it's a very toxic, low vibrational energy. And it's like, that's why I feel like independence is important. Because it's like, well, you know, if I want my man to do something and he can't do it, and I know that I've got skills, I'll just do it. Like, do you know what I mean? Because that way I don't have to ask an outside party because I've got it done. But it's like, if you want to, how can I say? If you just have to ask yourself, what is it that you really want in an individual? Okay, because I feel like men, like I said, they're attracted to independent women, but they can't handle them when they get them. But I feel like the whole thing is about conquering. Like, I want to conquer you and like knock you down a few pegs. You know what I mean? Especially if you're like really attractive. You'll notice that if you get with a guy and you're really attractive, you'll be walking with him, he'll be putting his arm like around your waist. You haven't even established that you're together yet, to try and show ownership. I'm not saying again that there's anything wrong with that, but there's different traits and different things that people do when they're trying to establish ownership. Like, yeah, this is mine. It's not like, oh my God, like you're all in love and you can't keep your hands off each other. You know, like when you first start speaking to someone and you go and they're putting their hand around your waist, like, and they only do it when somebody walks past to say like, yeah, this is mine. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm not a fucking trophy. I'm not a fucking object that you can just grab up and say, yeah, this is so-and-so, and don't look at them. Like, if somebody wants to look at me, let them fucking look. The fuck, what are they going to do with their eyes? Like, do you know what I mean? It's like, it's real strong insecurity and low self-esteem. Because I feel like independence is a basic life skill that every man and woman should have. You know? I don't feel like people should be threatened if somebody is able to do something, you know. You don't know how people grew up. You don't know what their livelihoods were like when they were younger. Some people had to be independent at a very young age. So it's nothing to do with you. It's not like women are trying to be above men and we're trying to be equal to them. It's just like, bitch, I had to be a fucking adult when I was like 9 years old. So I've just got traits that a lot of wockless women out there don't have. So maybe you're used to dealing with wockless women that can't do nothing. Well, that's not for my business. I know how to do a multitude of things. But I'm not going to suppress my gifts, talents, and skills to make you feel more masculine, because that's not what masculinity is. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, so I just wanted to talk about that, because the independent woman thing is just really annoying. Like, when people get so threatened by that, or they think it's like, oh, well, you don't need this and you don't need that. It's not about not needing. It's about not being needy. There's a difference, you know? And I feel like it's quite sexy if someone's able to do something without having to kind of stress you about it. It would just, like, if I was a guy, it would make me want to do shit, like more shit for you. Like, do you know what I mean? As a surprise, though, I wouldn't want you to need me in a crisis. If I come home and I see that you've put up a shelf, I'll be like, babe, did you do that? Well, let me just go over it just to double check that it was right. You know what I mean? But, you know, if you want me to do anything, you know, you can let me know. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'll offer my help to you, or I'll just get shit done so that you don't have to ask me, or you don't have to do it yourself. But most situations I've found where men are threatened by the independent women is when the woman is asking them to do something and they don't do it, and then the woman does it, and then they feel some type of way. It's like, well, then you should have done it in the first fucking place. You know, people are not objects, man. You have to have respect for people. And I don't understand this whole power dynamic in relationships where somebody has to have power and control over the other person. That's not a relationship. I don't know what it is, but it's not a relationship. It's certainly not a loving one. That to me sounds like some kind of toxic arrangement. Or some kind of like fucking slave master shit. Or some like, I don't know, like some petting zoo shit. Like, I'm not an animal. Like with an animal, you want to control their behavior, right? So you train them, you tell them, no, you can't do this. You have to sit there, this, that, and the third. If they're on the furniture, come off. You know what I mean? You train an animal or a child. But if you're a grown adult, why does it offend someone else if you're able to get up and do your own things? Like, I don't understand that. And I don't feel like any like independent woman has just like looked at someone and be like, I don't need no man, I don't need you. I mean, maybe some people have, I don't know, but you know, in my situations when I've spoken to people, I've noticed they've been very threatened by a lot of things. They get threatened by the fact that I'm not stupid. You know what I mean? They'll be like, oh my God, I hate dumb bitches that don't know how to do anything. So it's like they meet someone that knows how to do a lot and is very intelligent. And then it's like, then it turns into some kind of competitive energy where, well, I now need to prove that I'm smarter than you. Why? Why are you trying to make me feel dumb? Because I'm a woman and I should be seen and not heard? I mean, what, are we in the fucking 1950s? Like, do you know what I mean? I just don't get it. I don't understand why, like, men are attracted to neediness. Like, childlike behavior. I find that quite disturbing, to be honest with you. And I feel like I said, I feel like it just, all it demonstrates is that the guy has, like, a lack of self-value and worth. Because he feels like the only time that he's needed is to do things or to provide. Now, I'm not saying, of course, well, I personally feel like a relationship should be equally yoked and it's all about like mutual respect for each other. I don't feel like anyone should have control over the other person. Like if I wanted to do the dishes one night, I did. If my boyfriend wanted to do it the next night, he can do it. It's not going to be like, well, it's my job as a woman to clean up. No, you should fucking know how to clean too, bitch. Do you know what I mean? I don't want no nasty ass man in my house, like, or I don't want to be living in no nasty ass man's house. I don't want someone to see me as a maid. If you want a woman to clean up, then you can fucking pay a maid to do it, because that's her job. It's a woman's job to cook and to clean. I feel like it's a basic life skill for both men and women to be able to cook and clean, because you're going to be in a situation at some point where you're by yourself and you're going to need to be able to cook and clean. You can't sit down and wait for someone to cook and clean for you unless you got money like that where you're ordering out every single day and you can eat takeaways all day, every day. If you want to mash up your insides and your system, that's for your business. But do you know what I mean? It's like, to me, basic life skills are what people see as like, oh my God, you're too independent. Or like, if you don't want to stay at home all day and wipe kids' asses and you want to get up and go do something, it's like, well, if the divine has given me like several different talents, how am I going to exercise them if I'm at home just popping out kids? Like, maybe that's not my destiny. It doesn't mean just because you have a fucking uterus and a pussy that you are supposed to have kids. I was trying to have this conversation with someone the other day as well. I don't believe every woman is supposed to be a mother. I mean, it will tell you in your chart if you're supposed to have kids or not. If you don't have the placements to have children, you're not supposed to have them. That's why some people, they have kids and they have so much problems, either conceiving or they have problems with their children. They have like very karmic relationships with their kids because you was not supposed to have them. That wasn't a part of your destiny. You know? Just because you're a woman doesn't mean you're supposed to be a mother. Just because you're a man doesn't mean you're supposed to be a father. You may have, it's like people who invented things. Look how many inventions there are these days. A lot of things that were invented were people who were completely isolated and they just focus 24/7 on their invention. They didn't have time to have kids and to be wiping asses and shit. And sometimes you're in relationships with people, you could be dating a scientist and you want to have kids, but you never see your husband. They never see you. Or your wife, whoever's the scientist in the relationship. But because we're talking about independent women, I'm going to say the man is a scientist. He's always at work all day. He's working on something. You hardly see him. He just don't have time. So he doesn't get to kind of like grow up with the kids. Again, that's not healthy because you're not present in that child's life. You know, depending on obviously what your job is, if you're able to kind of come home after a certain time, spend time with your family and your kids. But certain jobs require you to be there. Like you can be possessed by your own work, especially when it comes to like things to do with like science. Depending on obviously what it is, you know what I mean? It depends on what it is. But I'm just saying, some people, they if they're working on, like, I'm saying that, well, speaking from experience, because there's someone in my family, my auntie, she's like working on something, and she's been working on it for over like 10 years, but she's like completely disconnected from the majority of the people in her family, because she's dedicated to some kind of scientific discovery. I don't really know the ins and outs of what it is that she's doing, but she basically has given up her life for science. So she can't be in a relationship because her partner wouldn't understand. Do you know what I mean? So there's things like that. It's like you could be destined to do certain things. And if you're in a connection with someone or around people that are like needy or want you to be needy, you're not going to be able to exercise your gifts and your talents. It's like, do you want to be in a wife and have kids because you want to be a wife and you want to have kids? Or do you want to be a wife and have kids because society programmed you to be like that? Or because this guy likes you and he feels like you'll be a beautiful parent or you'll give him beautiful babies. So he's now trying to mold you into the wife that he wants you to be. Because that's how it is. Whenever I try to be in relationships with guys, they always want me to be that kind of like housewife type. And the thing about it is I'm very domesticated. Like, I'm like a homebody. I, cook, clean, do all of that shit. So I can understand why guys want me to be that empress, because it's just naturally in me. But when I'm like, oh, kids, I don't know about all of that. I was basically a mother to my brother throughout my adolescence period. So now I just kind of want to be free. I've also worked with children. They're a lot. I've seen the sacrifices. I'm not really trying to do that right now. I'm trying to like do my own things. One day you'll see. And then they start talking to me about marriage and kids. And it's like, I said I don't want to do all of that shit. So why do you keep trying to program me into doing that and putting me into a box? Oh, you're ticking all the boxes that I want in a woman, but you're not ticking all the boxes that I want in a man, because I want somebody who's going to uplift me and help me to pursue my dreams and aspirations, not someone who wants to lock me in a box in a house, wiping kids' butts all day. And then I get to a certain age and I don't have the energy to do what I want to do. Like, I've connected with so many different people, especially adults, I'm an adult, older people, because I like older people, right? Like mature people. I like to have conversations with a lot more mature people. I remember when I was in my 20s, and I was at uni, one of my best friends in my class, she was a mature student. She was like in her 40s at the time. And she was like, she's coming back to uni because, she had to sacrifice her life for her daughter. And you could tell that she really regretted it. Like, you could tell she wished that she would have went to uni and done her aspirations when, she was my age. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that you can't go back. Do you know what I mean? Like I said, everybody has free will and they want to do what they want to do. But you could tell that when I was speaking to her, it was almost like she felt like she was forced into submission and forced to be a parent. But it's not really what she really wanted to do. And she's trying to catch up with her dreams that she had as an adolescent in her late 40s, pushing 50s. Now, I'm not saying that it can't be possible. You can make your first million at 40, 50, 60, 70. It doesn't really matter. But what I'm saying is that you don't want to look back at your life and feel like, wow, I like wasted all of this and done all this. And now I've got a toxic relationship with my daughter or my son because I didn't really want to be a parent, but I was forced into it. And now I'm trying to, do you know what I mean? I always feel like do your dreams and your aspirations when you're young. And then if you want to have kids when you've finished your goals. You know what I mean? That's just the mindset that I have. I remember when I turned 30 a few years ago, and then it was like, oh my God, you don't have kids. You're not married. What's really going on? Like, people think there's something wrong with you. And I'm like, every person I know that's my age that has kids are either miserable or they're trying to recapture their youth. I don't want to be like that. I want to have kids when I know that I'm ready to have kids, or they're in some kind of dramatic dynamic, like that baby mama, baby daddy drama. People be having kids for people that they hate. I always say, if I was to have a son and he was to grow up just like his dad, if I cannot say the sentence, you're just like your dad, and it be in a positive way, I'm not having kids for you. Because if my child grows up just like his daddy, it needs to be a positive thing. I don't want to be saying to my child, oh my God, you're just like your dad, or you remind me just like your dad, and it's like a negative thing. If my son grows up to be just like the partner that I'm with, I need to be proud of that. If I imagine having a son with you and I imagine, oh my God, he turns out like you, and it makes me feel sick, I know that you're not the person that I'm supposed to allow my bun, or supposed to allow my oven to put a bun in, basically. I don't even know if that fucking made sense, but you know what I mean. Bun in the oven. Your seed is not going in my garden, okay? Honestly, I just think about things because I see how stressed people are. I see people go through like postmortem depression after they have kids and shit. I see what it does to the body. You know what I mean? So I'm just sensible. I'm just like, well, you're toxic as fuck, or you're trying to trap me with a child, or we're not in love. Like, I'm not madly in love with you. I feel like it's called making love for a reason. I feel like babies should be made out of love. If I want a child, I want to know it's because I wanted one and I'm in love with my person and the person treats me like a fucking princess and a queen and allows me to be my own individual person, doesn't suppress me in any type of way. So I feel free in my relationship, not free to go out and cheat and talk to other people, because again, I don't agree with that shit. I feel like if you're in a commitment, you commit to two other people, but you can be committed in a relationship and still be free to be your own individual. If I can't do my art shit, I can't do my spirituality, I can't do my tarot, I can't go out and work and do what I want to do, then me and you are not supposed to be. That's just the way I see it, you know? But yeah, I just wanted to talk about that. Like, the people are so threatened by like independent women. And I feel like really what the fear is that it's abandonment. They're afraid that the person's going to leave them because they're so independent. They don't need me. It's not about needing, it's about wanting. I want you in my life. I want to be around you. I want to grow with you. I want to have a future with you. This whole needy shit is just toxic as fuck. And it's quite pedophilic to me because the only people that are needy are fucking children. Children need you. They need your support. They need your nutrients. You know, the boob, the milk that comes from your bosom, you need to feed that to your little child to grow. They need you to teach them how to walk, how to write, how to read and shit. Children need. Adults don't. Or they shouldn't. What you should be focusing on is communication, mutual respect, love, and support. Supporting each other's needs, but not without having you to need on one another, if that makes sense. So for example, if you're in a relationship, you may be somebody where you like space. You don't want to be smothered. But somebody who doesn't, who finds it threatening to be with an independent woman means that, oh my God, you know, I'm not going to be able to smother you. Well, not necessarily. Some independent women may like that, may appreciate that. But you need to be able to respect the fact that somebody wants space. And if they're having space from you, it's not because they're talking to other people. They may want to they may want to have space to be creative. Like with me, for example, I can't be creative if I'm around people. It depends. Your energy has to be really like in tune with mine for me to be comfortable to be creative. But normally if I'm creative, I like to be by myself in my own space. I can't have a partner that's offended by that shit. Or that, like, I remember one time I was dating someone and they made me go all the way around my house and record to make sure that nobody was there because it took me 3 minutes to reply. Do you know how insane that is? There's someone in your house, you're fucking someone, you're fucking your ex. Really? Because I just fucking woke up. But okay, let's go around my house and I have to FaceTime you and show you that there's nobody in it. And I have to go all the way downstairs and show the inside is locked so no one could be coming in or out. That's insane to me. But that's how people feel like when you're independent. They feel like you're doing stuff where you're talking to other people. And I don't understand that logic. That's insane to me. Because in their mind, they're like, well, if you don't need me, then there must be somebody else that you're needing from. It's like, well, no, you know what I mean? So I feel like, I don't know, man. It's just the concept of the independent woman is just really not what the fuck it is. And I just don't understand why people view... I get it. I feel like because, you know, I think it's a feminist problem or like the rebellious problem. I feel like a lot of women who are really rebellious, it's like that slut era, like, you know, all the strippers and all the women like, oh, I'm free with my body, I'm free to do whatever I want. So I feel like that's how a lot of men view independent women. It's like, what if you're independent? It means that you want to do whatever you want with your body and you want to go out there and be a whore and you want all of attention. And that's not what independence means. It just means that you just don't want to be restricted or controlled by another individual, because that is not normal. That's sociopathic. That's what you do with animals and children, not with adult people. It's not normal to want to control and possess someone. And if that's what you want to do, you need to seek help, darling. You shouldn't want to be with someone because you can control them. And like I said, I've seen this through years and years and years of observing people, own personal relationships. You know, I've been held hostage and shit. Like, and so trust me, I got some wild stories, people. I always attract really controlling people. Like, it is what it is. Don't want me to go in the house, to come out the house, don't want me to do anything. They have to accompany me everywhere I go. What the fuck do you think I'm gonna do when I'm walking down the street? Like, go and fuck a random stranger? You know what I mean? So you know what I mean? I for one know what it's like to be around men who just have this insatiable desire to want to control you and want you. Like, I've literally had one of my psycho exes said to me, like, I need you to need me. Or he said, I want you to need me. I don't know if it's I need you to need me, I want you to need me. That's what he said to me. And he was like to me, oh, you're so strong and independent. And he was saying it as if it was like a negative trait. And I was like, yeah, okay, and I don't understand. Because I'm not calling you in desperate need for certain things to be done. And then when I do call you for certain things, you can't fucking do it anyway. Like, so, like, do you know what I mean? Like, I just don't understand it. People are fucking insane, man. But if you are an independent woman, do your thing. If people are threatened by you, it's because they're insecure or they have some weird fucking childhood issues. Okay? Because I just don't understand it. Like, I don't understand that dynamic of, like, submission and control. Unless we're in the bedroom, there's no reason for me to be submitting. And when I say that, it doesn't mean that I'm going to be, like, disrespectful or to you in a relationship. It just means that, like, I'm not a fucking slave. And I don't feel like I should be treated as such. And I don't feel like I should be penalized if I know what an Allen key is, or I want to use a screwdriver, or if I don't run to your aid when something needs done. You know what I mean? Or if I'm able to do things without having someone to like the other day is not the other day. Every time I say the other day, I could be talking from like a few days ago to like 10 years ago, okay? Because I don't really speak to people very often. It's like in different time periods, but not the other day. A long time ago, I think it was sometime last year, actually. I can't remember. I was speaking to one of my friends and he said to me, I was talking about relationships with him, right? And I said, what is your opinion on like relationships and shit? And like, because he said to me he was attracted to independent women. He said the reason why is because they don't rely on you for things. So I thought, okay, so you're one of them. Because there's the guys who want to control you, and then there's the guys who want mothers. So they don't mind you being independent because then you're going to look after them like they're a child and you're their mum. And again, that's some weird shit to me. But anyway, so that's what he said to me. And he said to me that, he said, but if I'm in a relationship with someone, like there's things that I expect of them. There's roles that they need to play. And he was like, for example, if I do something that you don't like and we're out in the street, I expect you to obey me and wait until we get home in order to discuss it. Because I don't want to be embarrassed on the street. I was like, obey. Woo! I was like, well, you're not someone I could ever fucking date or offer anybody else to kind of like, I'm not hooking you up with anybody that I know that's in need of a fucking partnership, because obey. And then that's what I thought to myself. I thought to myself, if what you're trying to say is if I disrespect you in public, oh well, we'll talk about it when we get home. So I'll treat you however the fuck I want. But if you disrespect me, it's a problem. Where are these narcissists coming from? Why is the world full of these types of people? What is happening? But I thought to myself, anytime I hear the word fucking obey, or I hear, like when the guy the other day said to me, soon you'll see that there's nobody else for you but me, and that you have to be with me. If I hear the word have to, obey, I already know that I'm about to be in a controlling psychopathic relationship. And that's just, I'm all good. I'm all good on that. But I feel like that's insanity. I feel like it's insanity that men think that, some men, not all, think that women need to be in like some kind of desperate, feeble, vulnerable situation in order for them to have a successful relationship. Like, what does that say about you? You know what I mean? Cha. Anyway, I'm going to go now because I've said what I have to say about that situation. If you agree or disagree with me, I don't really give a fuck. I said what I said. It is what it is. And that's what it was. Okay. So episode 2, people, on the independent woman, what I feel like it really means. Okay, we will be in the next video talking about something else. If you have a topic that you want me to discuss, also you could write in the comment section. If anyone says anything mean or rude, I'm just gonna switch the comments off, because we're not gonna play that shit on this new wave, on this new channel podcasting. We're just not gonna do that. If you have an opinion, that's cool, but if you be trying to attack me in the comments, I'm just gonna switch the comments off, or I'm just gonna block you. So it just depends what mood I'm in, okay? Because, you know, I already said in my other video, you may or may not be offended, okay? But I don't give a fuck. I'm just saying what I'm saying, and it is what it is.